Hi, I'm Julie Tran, your host on MakeChange TV. I'm so excited today because this is the first episode of the show. And today we're going to talk about one of my passions, the movement of social entrepreneurship. Welcome to MakeChange TV. My guest for today is a well-known speaker and consultant in Scandinavia who specializes in social business training. She is also a prize-winning author, and her most recent book, The New Pioneers, was listed as number 21 on Cambridge Top 40 Sustainability Books. Tania Ellis, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So today we're going to talk about your new book, The New Pioneers. But before we do that, I just want to say that I really like the cover of the book because you have a heart made by dollar bills.
Yep.
And that's also really one of the key messages from your book as well.
Definitely. That economic and social value creation can go hand in hand.
Yeah. So now let's start with the basic. What is social entrepreneurship?
Well, social entrepreneurship is, in essence, a new business mindset.
Yeah.
And it's been carried forward by individuals and companies that are creating innovative solutions to environmental or social problems, and in a way that creates economic and social value.
I noticed that you wrote that the 21st century business builds on an alliance between economic and humanistic values, not necessarily driven by morals or ethics, but just as much as by necessity. Why is it a necessity?
Well, a lot of changes have happened over the past decades, and for years the business mantra has been that the business of business is business.
Yeah.
And today this is still the case. But what has changed is the way that companies need to do business. And one of the most fundamental changes is that a lot of the problems that we can see in society in terms of poverty, resource scarcity, climate change, these are business risks, or in fact new business opportunities that companies need to integrate as a part of their business strategy.
You also distinguish between outer globalization and inner globalization. Can you elaborate on that?
Some of the reasons why we're seeing these changes in business right now is due to pressures that come from the outside and from the inside. The world has grown smaller, and this has opened up to a lot of great opportunities. Trading, economic growth, and technology has also increased this development and made it possible to break down barriers that we had 10, 15, 20 years ago. But it's also opening up to some new insights. We can actually see the effects of our unsustainable practices. And this is something that is obliging us to take action. So the internal pressures are also being reinforced by technology. I talk about the social megatrend. Some sociologists call it a global consciousness movement. And it's a movement that builds on the values of ethics, responsibility, sustainability, and meaning. And that's a pressure that comes from within, that individuals are increasingly aware of these imbalances in the world, and they actually want to do something about it.
It also sounds very much spiritual as well, more like consciousness movement on a global scale.
Definitely.
Does this mean that the outer globalization drives the inner globalization, or what comes first?
Tricky question. Well, I think what we're seeing is a seesaw interaction that is pushing this transformation. So it's mutually reinforcing.
On page 67, you have a quote that I really like. It's a me-we generation to which giving is the new taking and sharing is the new giving. An invisible contract based on enlightened self-interest. That's really beautifully written. So can you comment on that? Why me-we generation? Is that me, you, me, we?
I think so. I think so. But what I put into that term is the fact that an increasing number of individuals around the world are becoming aware, and they are also in search of meaning, happiness, and it's very much based on immaterial values. But I think one of the fundamental changes that we're seeing is that yes, we want to do good, yes, we do want to make a change, but it has to be on my terms. So it has to be in a way that gives me meaning, gives me a purpose. You can really see the effect of this in many different aspects. For example, volunteering. People want to volunteer, but for example, they want to use their professional skills. And we can also see it within philanthropism. We are seeing this new breed of philanthropists, venture philanthropists, that start their own charities, like Bill Gates or eBay's Jeff Skoll, because then they are sure that what comes out of the money they are investing is something that is creating a positive effect.
But how should we understand the social values from the social entrepreneurship movement, and how is it different than the traditional social values? Because I mean, every consumer products, I mean, taking for example Apple's product, right, whether it's iPhone, iPad or iPod, I mean, they do create tremendous social values to us as human beings. So how do we distinguish the two different social values?
If you should try to distinguish one way or another, I guess I would distinguish in the way that when we talk about social value creation in connection with social entrepreneurship, it's very much about creating new solutions to social problems. And the other aspect of social value creation could be exactly what you've just explained, that it is something that creates value in terms of how we can interact.
Exactly, communicate to each other.
Exactly, because that definitely creates a lot of value and can be a vehicle for positive change in society.
You also acknowledge in your book that it's not always a dance on a rose, because there are plenty conflicts of interest. Can you give a couple of examples, and do we really know all possible conflicts of interest that may arise due to the the kind of between the social and economics values?
Well, this is a very new business mindset. So obviously this is an evolution and not a revolution. So a lot of things will be uncovered along the way, and conflicts that we hadn't thought of may arise along this journey. But one of the conflicts that you can see right now is in terms of growth. So one of the issues that many social entrepreneurs are faced with at some point is that they get to a size and volume where they have to make a choice whether they want to grow quantitatively or whether they want to develop in other ways. So in my book, I've identified 7 different growth strategies that social entrepreneurs can apply. One of the growth strategies could be to sell your company to a large mainstream commercial company, and we can see many examples of that already. And that's where the dilemma comes into the picture, because are you selling out on your values when you do that? So that's just one example.
So what would be your advice to a social entrepreneur when facing a conflict of interest?
I think a key word here is transparency, honesty, and open communication. And also to engage and involve possible stakeholders to the problem or to the conflict. Involve them, engage them in finding a solution to that, and being completely open and honest about, this is where we are right now, this is where we stand, this is our long-term goal, our vision, but right now we're facing some obstacles. How can we work our way through these obstacles?
Tania, do you like surprises?
I hate surprises.
Oh,
I know that's not true. I love surprises actually.
Because I have a surprise. I'm going to introduce to you a new team member. She is short, she's round, she's very intelligent and pretty too.
Looking forward to that surprise.
And she is this bag. It calls most of bag. And in here, I have like 1,000 questions that you have to answer them all before you can leave.
Oh my gosh.
No, just kidding. So you can just pick one and then give to me and then I'll read out. I'll read the question.
Yep.
No, this one is nice, I think. What are you most proud of?
Since we're sitting here today talking about the book, I would say that one of the things that I'm really proud of is entering the top 40. That the book has been translated into Thai.
Why Thai?
I don't know why, but and it was one of the biggest surprises. One of the most
okay.
surprising things.
Yeah.
But that to me is also a signal and very much confirms one of the key messages in the book, that there's a new economic world order coming into play.
Don't worry, you only have to answer 3. Okay, this one is, I'm really glad you have this question. Maybe you won't be glad, but what do you find most attractive about men?
About
A man.
a man? Why am I getting these questions?
It depends on your love, Tania.
Well, I think a man that... no, I can't answer that. We have to take all these questions.
All right, Tania, another question for you. Ding, 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 ding. Ooh, what are you most afraid of?
Afraid of... I'm most afraid of not making the most out of my life.
That's a great answer. In your book, you also wrote about a convergence between CSR and the movement of social entrepreneurship. But now let's talk about what is CSR and how has the development been during the past 10 or 15 years?
Well, right now there's a parallel movement going on in the camp of social entrepreneurship. Companies and entrepreneurs are realizing that business methods is a great means of doing more good.
Yeah.
And in the commercial camp, companies are realizing that if they integrate social responsibility and sustainability as a part of their business strategy, this is actually a great means of making more profit.
So what would you say to a skeptic? What would you say to them? Do we need to convince them at all that this is the right way to do it, or is it more like, you do your way, I do my way, and hopefully we meet one day? What would be your advice?
Well, that's the really intriguing part of this current development, is that it doesn't really matter where you come from. The travelers on this sustainability route, they come from many different camps. And some of them are operating in a responsible and sustainable way simply because it's a necessity. They know that this is a business risk that they have to address. And then we have companies that have a more proactive approach. They realize that this is not just a business risk, this is actually a great business opportunity to address some of these problems we see in society and turn it into a new business area. So they have a more proactive approach. And then we have the companies that are convinced that this is the right way to do business as well. So they are inner-driven. But no matter which route they come from, they all arrive at the same conclusion. And that is that this is a great way of differentiating themselves from competitors. You are able to attract employees, you can improve your corporate brand, you can innovate products and services, and you can create sustainable value.
What is your wish for the future?
Well, I guess my mission is to, really to contribute to the development of this new business mindset, where it is possible to bridge people's needs or society's needs with business needs, and in a way that benefits both humanity and the bottom line. It's a life mission.
I support you 100%.
Thank you.
So, and of course, MakeChange TV is also supporting Tania. Buy the book, because if you're a supporter of the movement, you will get much more insight and knowledge about social entrepreneurship. And if you are a skeptic, trust me, you will be convinced or get convinced. So before we end in the show, I would like to say thank you to Bo Larsen Production, who has let us film this episode today in their studio. And you can always connect with me through Facebook and follow me on Twitter, or subscribe with your email, and I will write to you when we have a new episode coming out. I think that's it for now. Thank you so much,
Thank
Tania.
you.
It's been a great pleasure to have you as my first guest on the show.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. Take care. Thanks for watching, and remember to smile and shine. Bye.
You to make a great difference in this world. Woo-hoo! All right, there we have it. The first movement of MakeChange. And a heart. Yeah. So how do we make a heart?
Like this.
She's better than me. Oh, you can see that.
Now I'm here.
Yeah.
But I need to first.
Yes.